We're adding to your toolkit. We're prodding you. We're prodding you and asking you, do you already do this? Are you already thinking like this? And I did promise that every video I would do, that I would do my utmost and my best to do them so unique that you would finish each video and say, I don't think like that. And I think this one will be a spectacular one. You go to the gym to build your muscle, correct? But then when we're born, the muscles that we start to use initially are our senses, because that's where we filter information. And I want to ask you that question. How often do you exercise your senses? What's the benefit of it? Stevie Kidd was in nature at 4:31 this morning, but he's there every morning for the last 30 odd years. And it's where he goes, and one of the things he does is it's not just about meditation and being still, it's about exercising all his senses. And this morning it was about auditory. Sitting there for 10 minutes, closing his eyes and starting to amplify the orchestra of what he hears all round about him. What's the benefits? There's a lot of benefits. Again, I'm just here to put something out. When people end up being coached by me, they end up starting to see things that they've never seen before. They start to hear opportunities everywhere, because it's a concept of the power of exercising your senses. Think about it as your feet are on the floor and you're listening to this video and watching this video. Look about the room just now. Find something that you never noticed before. Pay attention to a sound that you never heard before. Now, but what if this becomes a way of life as often as you can in a day? And what happens if you keep on asking yourself questions about who you are and what do you want? But it's also the more that you understand yourself and the more you amplify your senses, the more that you've got the ability not just to see opportunities, but it's ability to have how much information you can filter and process at one time, including what you see in other people. Do you pay attention to your senses? Do you exercise your senses? And I'll give you one simple example away from anything to do with what you want. I was in the stadium coaching a manager for a season. He brings up the 3 players from the corner, flag with 25 minutes to go, and he puts them on the park. I send him a message at the end of the game. I says, I see that you're not exercising your senses yet. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, if you were exercising your senses, you would be much more heightened and aware. And you would realise that the players that you had down at the corner flag weren't even in tune with the story of the park. So even 15 minutes onto the park, it took them to catch up with the story. Then they only had 10 minutes left, but they never performed, so you wasted 25 minutes times 3 players. Because if you had paid attention and been aware of that, they wouldn't have got in the park. But also, if you were heightened your senses, you would also know to do it as a pre-frame and bring it into your training while you're in the training ground, which means that they would always be attentive. The concept of how much heightened and operating from the higher part of the brain, this is the system that we want to be operating on. It's important to build muscle, but it's important to understand who we are and how our neurology functions so that we can start to operate at an optimal level.